Hello, good morning. Welcome to the Abundant Wellness Podcast. I am so glad and excited to be with you today and really excited about what I have to share today. Today I am not in my regular uh, office. My background, as you can see from the background here, I'm traveling. My son actually graduated, and so I've traveled, to where he graduated. I'm still in Texas though, but I am in Houston, Texas right now. And I did have to pre-record this because I knew it was just going to be a very busy day, very busy weekend. So if there's a little lag, I apologize in my speech, and when you hear the voice, I apologize for that. But nevertheless, please stay tuned. What I have for you is very, very, very interesting. We are in a new month, the month of May. May is usually that time when students are taking their finals. Well, fortunately, my son finished already, but I have a daughter that's also graduating, and she's not done yet. So she's graduating from high school. He just graduated from college. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, there you have it. The nice thing about when I pre-record, it's set up in such a way that you get to still see my face as I talk, as I'm showing you the slides. So I want to welcome you again to the Abundant Wellness Podcast. Abundant Wellness meets every second and fourth Saturday of the month at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Again, I am here in Texas. Usually down south below, bordering Mexico, but I'm a little north of that. I am in Houston, actually. Weather is beautiful, nice, a little bit humid, but uh, I haven't had to experience any snow, and I'm glad for that. My name is Joanne McDermott. I am a board certified functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioner. I am also a mental health coach. Mental health coach, just giving people the tools to help them to overcome any mental health challenges that they're experiencing. Give the tools and provide that guidance and that support to help them to, get to where they want to be, get to a better place. And as a functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioner, I help people to find the underlying root causes of their health challenges. Because you see, we don't want to touch the surface. We don't want to just get rid of the symptoms. We want to eradicate it, reverse it, or at least bring it to a point where it's more manageable, where we can live a more normal lifestyle. And so I am doing this through the use of changes of diet and changes in lifestyle, because really 95% and up of all the health challenges, well, mainly the chronic illnesses that we suffer, directly related to our diet and lifestyle. So this is what I do, and I would be glad to help you too, but I'd like to be able to provide these little talks to help you get started on your health journey. So I must throw in my disclaimer here. The information provided is intended to promote overall well-being and is not a substitute for personalized professional care. So please, if you are seeing your doctor, your practitioner, your therapist, you want to continue seeing them. My goal here, or my responsibility, is not to replace that. I hope to be able to work along with them, but even more important, to work along with you. Viewers are encouraged to be empowered by learning how the body functions, allowing them to take an active role in their own health goals and decisions. I hope to be able to help you to understand how your body works and operates, and what it likes and what it doesn't like, so that you can be a part of your health plan and you can make decisions, because nobody knows how you feel more than you. And at least I know for myself, I like to be a part of the decision making on what route I take. I hope to be able to help you to know other options that you can have. There's always other options, and it's good to be informed so you're able to make an informed decision. So what we're going to be talking about today is emotions. We're going to do part 1, and in 2 weeks, I'll see you again, and we will do part 2. So let's first take a look at the definition of the word emotion. Emotion is a natural, instinctive state of mind deriving from one's circumstances, mood, or relationship with others. So an emotion, it's the way we feel, it's a state of mind. And we reach that state of mind as a result of the circumstances that are happening around us, the mood that we're in, or how others treat us. And I highlighted the word instinctive there because it's something that just kind of happens inside of us. It happens naturally. We don't always choose to feel the way we do. And sometimes we do. They say, choose to be happy. But in the beginning, we're not always, if somebody has to tell us choose to be happy, we're probably not feeling very happy at that point. And why? Why are we not feeling that way? There's circumstances. We don't always choose to be unhappy, but we can choose to not continue to be unhappy. So that's really the way it is. So emotions, it's deep-seated. It's just in there. And there are different types of emotions, but to put it into major categories, there's positive emotions and negative emotions. So some examples of positive emotions, that's when we're feeling good, happiness, hope. We feel positive. We have faith. We have love. We have joy, maybe even having peace inside of us. Now, the negative emotions, on the other hand, that doesn't feel good. Some examples of that would be fear or just hate, shame, guilt, anger, just feeling really sad. I love this emotional wheel chart because it helps us to really narrow down exactly how we feel and to help ourselves to just understand what we're really feeling and how we're feeling inside. So, for example, looking at the middle, very central circle there, and it has just a handful of adjectives of different emotions. So let's look at the one angry that's in red. So let's say you're feeling angry. Well, why are you feeling angry? How do you really feel? And so it narrows it down to, let's look at get my arrow here. Let's look at do I feel let down? Do I feel humiliated, bitter, and so forth? Let's say I feel let down. And then it breaks that down into even smaller categories. Do I feel let down because I was betrayed, or do I feel let down because I was resentful? So let's say it was betrayed. So I feel angry because I was let down. I was let down because I was betrayed. I thought that they were going to defend me. And the time when I needed them most, they weren't there. So that anger really is because I felt betrayed. So that's why I just really love this feelings chart because it really goes deep into why you're feeling the way you do. Again, finding that underlying root cause. Because when you know what the underlying reason is, and then you address that, then you're able to overcome, then you're able to heal, and you're able to feel better. So when it comes to our feelings and our emotions, what part of the brain is that really? Well, our brain is divided into 2 parts, or it operates in 2 different ways. 10% is our conscious mind, but 90% is our subconscious mind, also known as the unconscious mind. Let's go take a look and kind of talk about the conscious mind a little bit. So that is when you're aware. That's the part of your brain that analyzes, and thinks and tries to understand, what does that mean? What is happening around me? And then it determines, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do about the situation. This is what I'm going to do about what's happening around me right now. So you're in the now, the here and now, and you make a decision and then you execute that decision. It's also kind of part of that prefrontal cortex as well. It's also where our short-term memory is. So, for example, thinking about what you eat for breakfast this morning. I know some of you might have even forgotten that, but I'm talking about your experiences, remembering those experiences that you had that day, as opposed to experiences that you had a year ago. What happened a year ago? More to the long-term memory, or even in your childhood, that would be more long-term memory. So short-term memory is, okay, what happened today? What happened last week? So it's just really a full awareness of what's going on, what happened. And that's 10% of our mind. Now, 90% is the subconscious or the unconscious mind. That's the things that happen and we don't really know or don't really realize it's happening. It's kind of hidden, kind of in the background. So to give some examples, we have, just looking at number 4 here, involuntary body functions. You know, there's certain body functions that occur and happen without us thinking about it, without us planning it, without us executing it. So that could be things like your heartbeat. You never stop to think, okay, heart, let's start beating now. Okay, let's stop, let's beat faster. You know, that just kind of happens automatically. Even our breathing, when we're sleeping at night, we don't stop and think about, okay, you know what, I'm going to stop breathing, I'm going to start breathing. You know, we just do that automatically. Uh, it also has to do with our habits, you know, our habits that we form, addictions even. So let's say that every day, Monday through Friday, I go to work and I take a certain route, but it just so happened that this week you have Monday off because it's a holiday. And here in May, we're going to be experiencing Memorial Day weekend soon. And you decide, you know what, I'm going to go to the gym this morning at the usual time that I get ready to go to work. Because maybe you usually go to the gym in the evening, you decide, okay, you know, I'm going to go in the morning this time. And so then you get in your car and you start driving, and halfway to the gym, you realize that you're really heading to work. You're thinking, what am I doing? Because you see, it's become such a habit that you just do it automatically. You didn't think about it really. You didn't think about it. You didn't kind of go in your mind step by step. Okay, I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna turn here. Oh, I gotta make sure I go there. You just did it automatically. And that's what happens when something becomes a habit. There's really no thought process in there. And you just, you know, you're still able to carry out or perform, you know, the activity. Now, some of us have good habits, some of us have not very good habits. And I just wanted you to understand that that habit forming task or ability is really in our subconscious or unconscious mind. Also in our subconscious or unconscious is our emotions and our feelings. We feel a certain way, whether it's happy or sad or fearful or angry. We don't plan it. We don't think about it. We just feel that way. And again, it happens because of our circumstances, um, because of experiences that we have, because of how other people treat us. So I want you to see and know and understand that our emotions and feelings is part of our subconscious. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, hey, I want to be an addict. Hey, I want to be angry. Now, the part of our brain that actually deals with our emotions is called the limbic system. The picture of it here, it's kind of like the middle, the central middle side of our brain. So sometimes the limbic system is known as the emotional brain because that is really where we are experiencing our feelings. There's different parts of that limbic system, and I am going to explain that really quickly right now. Just want to picture so you can see these words. So you have the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus really controls a lot in our brain, a lot in our body parts. That's kind of like the central, grand central station in our brain. Kind of looks at our experiences. Well, not looks at it, but it as we're experiencing whatever we are in our environment, the hypothalamus, excuse me, takes that in and interprets it, makes a determination, and as a result, will release certain hormones, in our body so that we are able to respond to whatever is happening around us. And then we have the amygdala. The amygdala is that part of the brain, part of our brain that is responsible for us experiencing our different senses. So our senses, like touch, smell, see, hear, and taste. And then we have I'm sorry, that's the thalamus. Excuse me, the thalamus is the part of our brain that's responsible for processing sensory information, hearing, taste, sight, and touch, and smell. And then we have the amygdala. The amygdala plays a role in how you experience emotions. So, how are you experiencing that emotion? That emotion, such as anxiety or fear or anger. Your amygdala is going to take that information and process it, interpret it, and it's going to make you feel the way you do. And then finally, we have the hippocampus. The hippocampus is the part of your brain, part of the limbic system, emotion brain, that's responsible for new memories. So whether you have a good experience or a bad experience that made you feel a certain way, made you feel good, or made you feel bad, the hippocampus is where that memory is formed. And it's interesting because when something happens to you that reminds you of that experience that you had, it's either going to you're going to either feel bad, or you're going to feel scared or fearful, or you're going to feel good. And it's based on the memory that was formed when you had that similar experience. So this is very interesting because sometimes we can get triggered by a sound or a smell in a good way or in a negative way without and get all these feelings and emotions that we had when we first had that experience. So even though you're not experiencing that right now, you are feeling those same feelings and emotions as if you had experienced it all over again, or as if you went back to that time all over again. So that the hippocampus is the part of our brain that's responsible for the memory, making those memories of that. So I'm just going to kind of give you an example. So here is this woman here. Maybe she is Japanese. Not sure, but looks like she's eating some sushi. And let's say that when she was a young child, she lived in Japan. She grew up there, in fact, and it wasn't until she became an adult, like a young adult, that she moved to, let's say, the United States. Now, when she lived in Japan, she lived amongst her family members, extended family members. There was a lot of love and care and nurturing. The food was always so good because the women of the home were very good cooks. And when the time came to eat, she was gathered around with her family, and she just really enjoyed the time because she was with family. She comes from a very loving family, and she just really enjoyed the food because they were such great cooks. Now she moves to the United States. Maybe she has an opportunity, goes to college, goes to school, gets a job, and ends up living here in the United States for many years. But let's say one day she gets to visit a Japanese restaurant. And as she's sitting there, she's eating the food, she just feels like she is on cloud nine. These feelings or these emotions of happiness and peace and comfort just flood her heart and flood her mind. Because what's happening is she is being brought back to that memory of when she was a child. She was around family and food and good food, in fact. And it's it's triggering those emotions and feelings that she had back then. Those feelings and emotions, again, it's in her subconscious mind because obviously she's not with her family right now, but she's having those feelings as if she was there, with them. But sometimes it can happen the other way around. Sometimes we've had a negative experience, such as those individuals that suffer from PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder, where hearing those familiar sounds brings back negative memories. So I'm just kind of throwing an example here. Let's say that this gentleman, when he joined, the military, and he got sent off, deployed into a place where there was war going on, and it was very serious, times, there were bombs going off, there was helicopters flying, helicopters were dropping bombs, and he just there was a lot of shooting, and he seeing people getting killed and blood all over the place, and it was just a very traumatic, experience for him. Fortunately, he survives. He's not one of the soldiers that died. He finally gets sent back home, and now he is no longer in the military. However, let's say that while he was in, I don't know, the city somewhere, and all of a sudden he sees this helicopter pass by. Maybe the helicopter was like a life flight. There was an accident somewhere, and somebody needed to be carried over or transported over to another hospital where they can take care of this injury that's a little more serious. I mean, there could be any reasons why the helicopter is flying. But now this gentleman, he starts to get very anxious. He starts to get very uncomfortable. He starts to get fearful. But there is no bomb that's being dropped. There's no guns that are being utilized. Nobody's being shot at, but he is feeling very anxious. And you might look at him and think, what's the matter? It's just a helicopter. There's even places where you can go on a helicopter ride. You can pay for that, but for him, he just sees a helicopter and all this anxiety comes up inside of him. And why is that? Even though the threat is not there, but he feels that way. And he is having a memory. That helicopter is triggering an emotion that's in his subconscious. And he's experiencing what he had experienced back then. It's like it's happening all over again. It's amazing how the body is, because even though there's no threat there, he's feeling like, yes, there is, and there's different physiological effects that are happening inside the body. Remember, I told you how the hippocampus, it kind of takes in your environment and what's happening, and as a result, it will cause hormones to be released so that your body can have these physiological changes to prepare you for the threat that's at hand, so that that's kind of where the cortisol and the adrenaline get released, so you're ready to fight or flight. This is what's happening to him right now, even though there's no reason for him to fight or flight. Emotions are very powerful. They're deep-seated. They're in our subconscious. That's why sometimes it's helpful to talk to a counselor, and we're feeling a way and we can't get past it, or we don't know why. They help you to figure out what's really going on deep down inside there. But I want to let you know today, at some point before I finish this presentation, I want to know that regardless of any emotion that you are feeling, well, negative emotion, we want to ultimately feel happy and feel at peace, because that is when we are healthier. But if there's any of you out there that don't feel that, you don't have that peace, you don't have that happiness, that there is hope, there is healing, there is cure for you. It doesn't matter how long you've been experiencing it. It doesn't matter if you've been on medications or not. There is healing and natural healing, and you're able to get to the place where maybe you once were at one point, or to just live life normal and be able to be happy like you see other people happy sometimes. In Matthew chapter 11, verse 28 and 29, it says, "Come unto me, all you who are weak, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and you will find your rest." This is Jesus talking to us. And what he's doing is he's telling us, you know what, let's switch. I will take your burden, and in place, you take my yoke, which is light and easy, and I take your heavy burden. Jesus wants to do that. He wants to do that for you today. And he wants you to be able to feel happy, and he wants you to feel peace. You know, my podcast is called Abundant Wellness, and it really comes from Bible verse. It's a promise. It's Ephesians chapter 3, verse 20. And it's promising us that we can experience life more exceedingly abundantly. You might think, you know, how can that be? Yeah, I'm just experiencing all these things that I am or that I had, but it's a promise. It's just a matter of learning how to do it and getting that support and getting that guidance. And I would be glad to help you with that. And there's others too. If this is something that you want, if you're struggling with the uncertainty, uneasiness, anxiety, or even depression, please reach out to me. You can send a message, private message, a DM, or put a message in. And I put this on my Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can put a comment, or at the end, I will leave my contact information. But I just want to let you know that there is hope for you today. Please don't go through this alone. Reach out for help. Now, I just wanted to kind of also point out this example. You know, when we get sick and we feel tired, we have a runny nose, we might even have a headache. And so first things we think about is, oh, you know, I just want to get over this. I want to get better as soon as possible. Excuse me. And so we might end up taking a day off from work. We want to make sure we're drinking enough water. And we're trying to take care of ourselves. We might take some extra vitamin C. We're doing what we can to be able to overcome and get back to feeling better again, because who wants to be sick all the time? And maybe we might, if you know, we might even, if we're not getting better quick enough, we might even go to the doctor. And the doctor might give us a prescription, antibiotic or something like that. And we take it, and usually over time, we do get better. We heal, and life kind of continues as usual again. However, there are times when we do experience certain symptoms. We are just not healthy physically. Maybe we are losing weight and we're trying. You know, why is that happening? And we get concerned, and we go to the doctor. And we try to, and the doctor will ask about certain symptoms. Yeah. And then sometimes the doctor might do some tests because, you know, I'm looking at you. Well, I don't really see anything. You don't have a fever. Your vital signs might be okay. We'll do some tests. And people have some blood, eye or something like that, you know, some kind of procedure. Because, you know, to get to the bottom of, you know, why are you experiencing, you know, these symptoms? At least when you have a cold, you're sneezing and coughing, we know what's going on. Maybe you caught some kind of bug, the flu is going around, and you know what's going on. You know the reason why you're sick. But when you're experiencing symptoms and you don't know why, that really becomes a little bit more scary. But that is something that does happen at times. Well, it's not only physical symptoms that we may experience, but we also experience emotional symptoms. Here in this picture, maybe these men were filming outside and they were just enjoying the landscaping and maybe with beautiful hills, and they were just probably enjoying themselves. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they see this big bear come and they start running. They start to feel fearful. Their body goes through these physiological effects. Adrenaline starts to get released and it gives them the strength and the power and to just run as fast as they can. And as you can see here, they're running with their equipment. They probably got this extra strength. So this is kind of an example of the feeling of anxiety, that these people are experiencing. And it makes perfect sense why they are having this feeling because hey, they are being chased by a bear. But you know what? Or sometimes a person might feel sad because a loved one, somebody very close to them has died. Well, okay, it makes sense that they feel sad because they were very close to that person and now the person is not going to be in their lives anymore. And they're going to miss them a lot. So yes, it makes sense that they're going to feel a little sad. And then usually, as difficult as it is, after some time goes by, the sadness doesn't feel so intense. Person learns to live life, continue going on, even with that person no longer in their life. So it does subside eventually. Same thing with those people that were experiencing the anxiety. Okay, maybe once they were in their car and closed the door, the bear had no opportunity to get to them. And then the anxiety went away. So emotions, they protect us. They help us to really experience life more. But those negative emotions, they do go away. They do subside. When we feel anxious, we're not supposed to continue feeling anxious. And when we feel sad, we're not supposed to, like, it's not supposed to linger and go on. And when that happens, anxiety or sadness or any kind of negative emotion, if it's lingering and lingering and it's not going away, that's when you might need to get some help and talk to somebody or see a doctor. But sometimes we feel sad, we feel anxious for no reason at all. Like I was telling you, that I was showing you in that other picture, the person is experiencing physical symptoms, but for no reason at all. Why? It's not only physical symptoms that we may feel, and for no reason at all, and there may be some underlying things happening there, but even our emotions, our mental health, we can be feeling these negative emotions for no reason at all. Why am I feeling like I don't want to get out of bed? Why am I feeling so anxious? Nothing happened. And again, this is a time when you may want to go and talk to somebody or seek some help and guidance and try to find out what's going on. Well, there's various reasons why we may be having these negative emotions for no reason at all, or they're lingering, they're not going away. One of the reasons could be a hormonal imbalance. Our body is just like a super highway of hormones. We have so many different hormones that are being released to perform so many different bodily functions. Sometimes it, as a result of a hormone being released, it makes us feel a certain way, happy or sad. And then other times, so it affects our mood. Other times, a hormone is being released for a metabolic body function. So, helping your food to digest, or helping you to fall asleep. So I named some of these hormones, and you can just kind of go through it very quickly. There's some that fall into the category of being called neurotransmitters. Neuro meaning of the brain, and so there are hormones that are secreted that affect your mood, affect the way you feel. That would be the serotonin, GABA, dopamine. Just to kind of give you an example of serotonin, serotonin is a hormone that is released that makes you feel good and happy and calm and at peace. Sometimes when people are depressed, the doctor will prescribe an SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. And ultimately, what that does is it helps your body to have more serotonin inside of you. Because when you're sad and depressed, it could be that you're lacking in your serotonin. Your serotonin is low. Then there's the hunger hormones, the ghrelin and the leptin. Ghrelin tells you, okay, you're hungry, it's time to eat now. We need that hormone because what happens if we don't need, we can starve to death and we can die. Fortunately, that is a condition that happens to individuals that have anorexia. And then there's leptin. Leptin tells you, okay, had enough. You're full now. The fat cells or the cells that store and extract fat is full now. And okay, we don't need more. You can stop. You don't need to eat anymore. You know that sometimes people lack that leptin. They're not getting it. They don't get that signal. And they eat and eat and eat, and they eat a lot. Then there's the reproductive hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, having to do with our female reproductive or male reproductive system. Sometimes low estrogen, which happens to us when we get to be at a certain age, older, menopause, take away the elasticity. Then you have the testosterone. When that's low, it can cause you to not have as much energy, which can cause you to ultimately not really have a whole lot of motivation. And then you have your energy hormones. I like to call them the energy hormones, like the cortisol and the adrenaline. You saw that picture where the men were running away from the bear. Adrenaline was released there. And our cortisol is what kind of helps us to just kind of get through the day. So we're not dragging, we're not sleepy. Our cortisol is low in the evening, and then it goes up, in the morning again. So okay, we're ready to tackle the day. If our cortisol is off, and for some people it can be, it might be a little bit low, during the day, they're going to be tired, they're going to be sluggish, they're not going to have any motivation. So I want you to understand and see that sometimes the reasons why we feel the way we do, we don't have motivation, we're struggling with our diet because we can't stop ourselves from eating a whole lot, or we're just feeling sad, we're just feeling anxious. I want to say ultimately it may not be your fault. It's not your fault. It's just a little hormonal balance there. Or sometimes it can just, like I was talking about earlier, it can be a little trigger from a past trauma that you've had. And so, it's not always our fault when we feel the way we do. We don't have that motivation. We can't overcome, we can't feel better, we can't just go and do it already. Anybody tell you get over it? It's not always easy, as easy as that. I've been procrastinating or just not having the willpower. Anybody ever feel like, oh man, what's wrong with me? I just don't have any willpower. But there's so many things that play into the way we feel. And that's why if you feel like you're struggling, you're stuck, you're not getting better, it's lingering, it's not going away, that's why it's important to seek some help somehow, because there's things that you can do, things that you can change, things that can be altered. And sometimes it's just a matter of helping to get those hormones balanced again. Ways in which you can take care of your body, take care of yourself, or steps that you can take. So know and understand that it's not always your fault for you to be feeling the way you do. And where it might be easy for someone else, and it's struggling for you, maybe the other person isn't having this hormonal balance as you are. So I'd love to be able to share with you more on, okay, what kind of changes would need to be made? What does that look like? And how does how do those changes affect, my hormones and help to make it balanced again? We are so wonderfully and fearfully made, and God wants us to just be happy and experience life more exceedingly abundantly. It's just a matter of learning and understanding how. I'd like to invite you to come to my podcast the next time we meet again, which will be in 2 weeks. It'll be the fourth Saturday of the month, and I will go into more on how do I get my body, how do I get my mind, how do I get my hormones to be balanced and help my body to function right properly so I can be happy, be healthy, I can be motivated, I can be strong, and I can have a lot of energy. I would love to be able to go into that more with you, go into that more detail. This was just kind of my introduction about emotions right now. But I want to thank you for joining me today on the Abundant Wellness Podcast. Again, we meet the second and fourth Saturday of the month. And as I said earlier, if you heard something today that resonates with you and you really want to talk more about, how you're feeling or what you've been experiencing, I'd love to be able to talk with you and chat with you. And I do the free consultations. And so you can go to my website, learn a little bit more about me, and there should be a space there, a button there for you to be able to schedule a consultation that is absolutely free. If you're not as computer savvy, you can go ahead and dial that number and you can leave me a text and we can figure out a time to chat. So I want to thank you again for joining me. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I look forward to being with you again and learning more. Take care.